the rise of fan fiction.
Yes, it's a fascinating sort of subculture that exists on the internet. It's been thriving. It's not new, but it's getting more attention now because some authors who write fan fiction, which are works of fiction based on other people's characters set in fictional worlds that are created by professional authors, are actually getting big audiences of their own.
That's one of the writers right there. Is that right?
Yes. That's Cassandra Clare. She writes an extremely popular young adult fantasy series. It sold 12 million copies worldwide. She used to write Harry Potter fan fiction, and she had a big following kind of on the internet through that. The latest kind of hot example of this is, of course, 50 Shades of Grey.
Right.
That started out as Twilight fan fiction, which imagined Edward the vampire and his love interest Bella in sort of a dominatrix, sort of a sadomasochistic sexual relationship.
Of course, because that's what you'd automatically go to, right?
Right, of course. What's interesting is, you know, a lot of the fan fiction is actually, you're taking fantasy works and characters and stripping away the supernatural elements. So you'll have Bella Swan from Twilight, like in a psychiatric hospital, and Edward's her doctor, or you know, Harry Potter works at a coffee shop and he does, you know, never goes to wizard school.
Why didn't J.K. Rowling think of that?
Exactly.
I don't get it. So essentially, and we're going to break down the numbers, whether people make money off of this, but it's these people who can't live without these characters. They fall in love with characters. They want to continue them. They may be creative themselves, so they're writing new. They're keeping these characters alive, just in new plot points.
Exactly. And you know, they do it for themselves, they do it for other fan writers. These are really tight-knit communities that sort of build up on the internet, and it's kind of like it's incredible how much of it there is. I mean, it far exceeds the original works. Some of the quality is higher than the original works.
Ouch. Ouch. A slapdown from Alexandra Alter. Let me ask you this, though, because as an author myself, I get my back up a little bit, right? I think, you know, you invent these characters as an author, you've gone to the trouble to sort of invent this world, and then other people try and make money or profit off it, but are they profiting? I guess that's the big question.
Right. I mean, legally you can't. If you're using copyrighted characters, those are protected. You can't then turn around and sell them. There have been a couple of lawsuits about this. J.D. Salinger's estate sued an author who tried to do a sequel to Catcher in the Rye,
right,
and they settled, and they you know, they ended up that book was blocked from publication. So what I mean, fan fiction writers essentially have to post it for free, unless you're like E.L. James of 50 Shades of Grey. You change the character names, you change enough that it becomes an original work. It's no longer derivative, and there's, you know, many copyright lawyers say in that case, you know, you're safe. You can publish it, or if it's a parody, then it's protected by
safe, right,
the First Amendment. So.
And I assume that some authors, and this is probably very smart, but any publicity is good publicity, right? The more people create new works around your original work, hopefully more people are buying that.
Exactly. I mean, you can understand both positions. Some authors feel like these are their children. They're, you know, being kidnapped by strangers and put in situations they would never imagine. They dislike it intensely. Other authors say, look, this is a free ad for my book. Every piece of fan fiction out there is introducing, you know, more people to this world I've created, and they love it. And other you know, media companies are kind of embracing it now.
Websites out there, there are websites devoted to publishing this fan fiction. What are some of them, and are they under any scrutiny because they could be profiting through, I don't know, Google ads or something on their site from all this? Yeah,
there are some large sites that fanfiction.net is one of the biggest. It's got millions and millions of stories of fan fiction, ranging from cartoons to video games to books. I don't think they've attracted lawsuits. There are authors that do send them letters, cease and desist letters, to take the works down, and they'll occasionally comply. But because it's so broad, they're not focused on one book. I don't think they're actually, and because they're not really profiting, you know, commercially, right, from selling it, I don't think that's come up much.
Well, the authors certainly, they gain publicity for themselves for their next projects, whatever they might be. So they might have an audience if they did go in and write an original book coming down the road. So it's an interesting dynamic.